Good morning, Ladybridge parents and carers. This is all about the plans for next week and the return to school. Now, I did intend to get this to you last week, but as we emailed out on Friday, we were just getting more information each day and learning more each day about COVID testing and how best we could go about it. That it seemed to be a wise move to just delay a little bit and to give ourselves a little bit more thinking time to get the plans right. So that's what we've done. So that's why this is going out today rather than last week, which was my original plan. Okay, so yeah, the changes that we've made have actually simplified things. I won't bore you with the details, but what we had planned was a bit more complex than this, but it's a bit more simple now. So it's just basically a week from today, Monday the 8th, year 7, we'll be back. The day after, year 8, day after that, year 9, day after that, year 10, day after that, year 11. So on that date, learners will have the COVID test, and then once they've had the test, they'll be returning to their normal lessons. The reason why we started with year 7, a couple of really quick reasons. One is that year 7 are the youngest and therefore the least able to look after themselves from home. And also we found that it's the older learners that have engaged the most successfully with the remote learning. So it's more urgent to get the younger learners back into school. Generally, our learners have coped extremely well, but we found from looking at the engagement data and the attendance data that our older learners have been doing better. So I think it's more urgent to get the younger learners back into school. And as I say, in terms of childcare for you at home, certainly as a parent of learners in year 7, 8 myself, I know that they're not always wonderfully equipped to be independent and to look after themselves from home, but the older learners are more equipped to do so. Okay, so it's going to be staggered for the year group on the day. Not everyone's back at the same time. So we will be in touch with you again this week to tell you for your child exactly what time they will start. But if they're in year 7, they start on Monday and so on, as you can see on the table there. And we're also having a look at the timing of the school day, which is likely to be different during the first week back. And that's because, of course, at home, we've got every day is a Tuesday with the shorter day with the remote learning. We're still working out what that's going to look like in school next week, and that would affect what we offer in from home. So we're still getting all of that joined up. So the timing of the school day might be slightly different. And again, the details we'll get to you later in the week. So yeah, we're going to be testing the learners in batches during the course of the morning. Learners who test negative will be returning to face-to-face lessons. And obviously, if we were to get any positive cases, we'll be in touch with families straight away. Firstly, of course, with that child's family, and then we'll be those will be going onto the NHS test and trace system, and we'll be identifying close contacts and so on. As I indicated earlier last week, sorry, I need to change that. As I indicated last week, the government have requested that learners are tested 3 times on their return, with a gap of 3 to 5 days in between each test. So I've not told you for now the dates of test 2 and 3, because I think already I'm giving you too much information. I'm trying to keep it simple. The government have also made it clear that testing is not compulsory and that parental consent is required. So as you know, because you've had many emails from us about it, you need to give us your consent. There is a form there to fill in, and it's not too late to do so. And we're phoning all of the families as well that haven't completed the form this week. And as I say, thank you to the majority of our parents who have already responded and given their consent. I would like to say that although it's not compulsory, I would strongly recommend that all parents and carers do give their consent. The more testing we do, the less chance there is that learning will be disrupted by positive cases, because we'll have already identified those positive cases before the learners return to school. And of course, the fewer positive cases means the less transmission, and ultimately a reduced chance of learners, staff, and family members becoming unwell. And us keeping each other safe, it really is a team effort at the moment. So all of our staff have agreed to be tested twice a week as part of this team effort, and I just strongly encourage parents to give their consent to the child being tested. If you've opted so for any learners where we don't have consent, the start date is going to be the day after. Now, I want to be upfront and clear with you that I've not done that as a punishment to people who have not agreed to get the child tested. It's just that this really stretches us in terms of staffing. It's going to require over 15 staff to carry out the tests. And then we've obviously got to make sure that we've got enough staff to run the school and to provide face-to-face lessons. And for us to then have a separate provision on those days for the learners who have whose families have not given the consent provides even more staff, because we need separate staff to provide something for those learners on that day. It's just not doable. So learners who have who we don't have consent for, they'll start the day after. So for example, year 7 are starting next Monday, aren't they? If they've not given consent, then they can start on the Tuesday. It's the day after. That is absolutely the only way we can do it, because we're already massively stretched in terms of staffing. To offer a separate provision for learners that are not being tested is just not tenable. We can't do it. After the 3 tests have been completed in school, home testing kits are being provided, and we don't have those yet, and we don't have any a great deal of information yet about those. But I'm hoping and assuming that over the coming days, there'll be more information about home testing for learners and indeed their families. There was some news over the weekend that it's not just for the learners, it's for all families. But you probably know as much as I do about that at the moment. But what I do know is that once we've done these 3 tests in school, there is a clear expectation that learners are testing themselves and families are testing themselves at home twice a week. And staff, of course, will be doing the same. Remote learning. Next week, we will continue to provide a strong remote learning offer whilst we're phasing all the year groups in. However, at this stage, I don't know how much of that is going to be live. Again, we're still working on it throughout the course of last week. Each day, as I mentioned at the start, we'd learn something new and our plans had slightly changed. So we're still really ironing out some of the details. Masks. This is a key one, really important that I communicate well about this and clearly about this. The government have recommended the use of face masks in classrooms as well as corridors as a temporary extra measure. These are their words, temporary extra measure, in between the return to school next week and Easter. So it's just for that period at the moment as things stand. Now, the approach that we're going to take will mirror the approach that we have been taking in terms of wearing masks on corridors, which is that we'll expect all learners to wear them and we will enforce that, but we will also allow parents and carers to apply for exemption. But we'd expect all other learners to wear face masks. So if your child is exempt on medical grounds, mental health issues, or due to a diagnosed disorder, then you complete the form there that is embedded within the letter, and we will provide a yellow card on the lanyard to indicate that they are exempt. Lanyards and uniform will, of course, be expected next week, and the lanyards will really help the tests to run smoothly. So, really important that your child has got their lanyard. If they've lost it, just fill out the form there, or if they've lost the timetable, just fill out that form and we can replace them, and if you tell us in advance, we can get those ready for the first day back. And next one, the provision for vulnerable children and critical workers. So from next week, I mentioned that our staffing is really, really stretched because to run the testing requires over 15 staff. So things are very challenging in terms of staffing. So we do need to reduce the provision in school as much as we can. So what we're doing is we're contacting the parents and carers of vulnerable children directly during the course of this week. And if you are a critical worker and your child has been coming into school for the in-school provision, please can you email Ms. Zammit if you desperately need provision, if you desperately need childcare next week prior to your child restarting school. And I just appeal to you to just use this if you absolutely have no alternative, because I've said at least twice that we're still working on our plans. The staffing is the big one for us, that we're looking to bring in. Well, we're looking to redeploy existing staff for the 2 weeks. We're looking to bring in additional external staff, and we're still working on that. So the more we can reduce the provision in school for the learners who have been coming into school, the more it's going to be possible for us to do everything we've got to do over the next 3 weeks. And that's it from me. Sorry, I know that's a lot of information, a lot to take in. You've got the year group email addresses if you want to, if you want to get in touch with us with any queries about anything. And as you can get a sense of, I'm sure from this message, from me, the COVID testing does present quite a significant logistical, administrative, and of course, health and safety challenge for us. However, I really am confident that through the teamwork, the flexibility, and the commitment that we've shown together as a community, our learners, our parents, our staff, I am really confident that we can rise to this challenge. And before we know it, we'll be the other side of this phase of things. Okay, everyone, take care, and I will be in touch again soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Cheers.